Okay. Getting right in there.
I don't know. But did they see you? I was too busy running. Martha, it's important. Did they see your face?
No, they couldn't have.
Well, they're following us.
How can they do that? You've got a time machine.
Stolen
Who's
technology.
they?
They got a time agent's vortex manipulator. They can follow us wherever we go. I'll have to do it. Martha, you trust me, don't you?
Of course I do.
Because it all depends on you. Take this watch, because my life depends on it. This watch, Martha. This watch is...
Whoa. Oh.
Pardon me, Mr. Smith. You're not dressed yet. I can come back later.
Mr. Smith?
I was, Sorry.
Having a dream?
Sometimes I have these extraordinary dreams.
What about, sir?
I dream I'm this... adventurer, daredevil, a man. The Doctor, I'm called.
It's Monday, November 10th, 1913, and you're completely human, sir. As human as they come.
That's me. Completely human.
So Martha's in on it. She knows, but the Doctor... I suppose he needs to... He'll slowly come to the realization, I think. Well, she said Mr. Smith, so I'm guessing John Smith, right? He's used that alias a few times.
Now then, you
Ah!
not paid to have fun. I know. Put a little backbone into it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
You there.
Harry Lloyd!
What's your name again?
Martha, sir. Martha Jones.
Hands like those. How can you tell when something's clean?
Oh.
That's very funny, sir.
In a few years' time, boys like that will be running the country.
1913. They might not.
Excuse me.
I appear to be holding your books.
Yes, so you are. Sorry. This is-
Oh.
No, why don't I take up the annual dance at the village hall tomorrow? It's nothing formal, but rather fun, by all accounts. Do you think you'll go?
Ah. Love interest, huh?
The stairs.
What about
They're right behind you.
Is that going to start bringing his memory back?
I dream quite often that I have two hearts.
Then I can be the judge of that. Let's find out.
Oh. Hold up. Is this... Oh. Close contact?
I can confirm the diagnosis. It's one heart.
Huh.
I'd be very interested. Whoa.
Martha's probably like, come on.
To anyone before.
Sonic screwdriver. Dalek?
Look at these creatures. Such imagination.
Oh, so what was that before? I thought that was a Dalek. Face a bow?
Quite an eye for the pretty girls.
She's
Rose.
just an invention. This character Rose, I call her Rose. Seems to disappear later on.
Martha's not in there.
Sometimes think how magical life would be if stories like this were true.
If only.
If only. The watch. That's the key.
My uncle had a 6-month posting in Johannesburg. Says it was the most beautiful country God and God.
Jojen!
Talking about.
Sometimes I say things and they turn out to be correct.
Ah.
Just little things. Tiny things.
Or are those the people that were chasing them? The Doctor and Martha? Whoa. Is he gonna get possessed or taken over? That face.
Why can't I see you?
Why would you want to see us?
I want to know what you look like.
Because very soon, we look so familiar.
Whoa. Ah, yeah. They took over his body. And he's gonna pick up on it.
Beer in the pavilion.
TARDIS? It is. She's got the key. Home sweet home.
Hello. Talking to a machine.
I mean, it's not just a simple machine now. Now start filling in the pieces slowly throughout the episode, right?
But they can track us down.
That's why I've got to do it. I have to stop being a Time Lord.
Whoa.
I'm going to become human.
That explains the one heart.
I'd use this.
Jeez.
No man should hide himself, don't you think?
Yes, sir.
Don't touch the watch.
Be proud of it. I'm trapped. I'm caged inside the cold and naked in the dark.
Oh shit.
Use that brain of yours. Power of a Time. You're really not looking at yourself much, man.
Yeah, this kid's special.
No, sir.
It's kind of funny because later on he goes on to become Jojen Reed in Game of Thrones, and it's a similar character there. Those close-ups though. He's got such an expressive face. Harry Lloyd, that is.
Great Britain's at peace, long may it rain.
In your journal, in one of your stories, you wrote about next year, 1914.
Oh.
Dream.
You told of a shadow falling across the entire world.
Hmm.
Well, they're making me thankful it's not true.
Unfortunately, it is.
In the most
Cricket ball.
ordinary of deeds.
Oh. Whoa.
Lucky.
That was luck.
Nice red fun. Might I invite you to the village dance this evening? As my guest.
Where did you learn to draw?
Gallifrey.
Is that in Ireland?
Yes, it must be, yes.
You're not Irish.
Not at all, no.
Oh, goodness. Do I look like that? You sure that's not me?
There it is. Is Martha gonna come in?
Martha, what have I told you about entering unannounced?
Wasn't on the list. That's no good. What about the stuff you didn't tell me? What about Oh no, you didn't think of that. Had to go and fall in love with a human.
Human nature.
Just me.
Aw.
Keep me away from the false and empty man.
Last of the Time Lords, the last of that wise and ancient race.
This isn't very funny, sir.
Just shut up, stop talking, cease and desist, there's a good girl. Mother of mine is dying to meet you.
Can you actually dance?
I'm not certain.
There's a surprise. Is it
You
anything
can.
you're certain about?
Tell me now.
I think come on, Martha, you can pick it up.
Would you like some tea?
Yes, thanks. I like the sound of that.
Right. Hold on a tick.
Yep, I think Martha's clocked it.
This is not you. This is 1913.
Good. This is 1913.
I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but I've got to snap you out of this.
Oh.
Wake up! You're coming back to the TARDIS with me! Oh, sorry! Sorry!
Martha?
Not now, Tim's busy!
Maybe he knows something.
Where is he? She's infatuated.
But Martha is right. He's gonna have to leave at some point, right? So, bit of heartbreak.
You can dance.
I'm surprised myself.
The doctor dances.
Really, Martha, this is getting out of hand. I must insist.
Sonic screwdriver.
Do you know what this is? Name
It's
it.
from the book. He's gonna recognize it.
Name it.
John, what is that silly thing?
You're not John Smith.
We have a few questions for Mr. Smith.
No. Better than that. The teacher
No.
said he's a doctor.
You took human form.
course I'm human. I was born human as were you, Baines. What is going on? This is madness.
Oh, and a human brain, too. Simplistic and dull.
Change back! I literally do not know.
Have you enjoyed it, Doctor? Being human? Has it taught you wonderful things? Are you better, richer, wiser? Which one of them do you want us to kill?
Wow.
Your friend or your lover? Your choice.
Ah. Right then, that was a fantastic episode. That was just delightful. That was wonderful in every sense. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Yeah, so I'd say in that sense, it's the best episode of this series so far, series 3. David Tennant, like he's just so delightful, right? He's just so fantastic. And once again, it was on display in this episode. You know, this idea of having the Doctor live as a human, or, you know, turn into a human, it's just so grand, right? Because, you know, this is a species he knows so much about, right? Now he gets an even deeper understanding of the human condition, right? And how it truly feels to be a human. And I feel like this might end up playing a big part as the series progresses, and even beyond Tennant's run, right? It might be a big moment for the Doctor, you know, becoming a human and having these experiences. Now, again, you know, there's a substantial lore in place before New Who, right? But according to this is the first time he's using this Charmeleon arc, right? So this is the first time he's using it and becoming a human, or essentially everything about his biology is being masked as a human, right? And he's forgetting that he's a Time Lord. So it's pretty much as human as he can get, right? It's changing his cells. There's a physical change, you know, inside his body. So it is quite a, again, as human as he can get. You know, at times, the Doctor, and Tennant's Doctor more specifically, can pass off as a human for the most part, right? But then, you know, once you see the contrast between the Doctor, Tennant's Doctor, and this John Smith character, you really get to see just how alien he really is, right? And I'd say that is a credit to David Tennant's acting in this episode. He really sold, like, it was believable that he is a human, right? Again, the thing I liked here is that there's enough of the Doctor still in there, lingering in there, right? Every now and then you'll still see a glimpse of the Doctor or some of the mannerisms that are leaking through. But there's enough of a different take on it that you see this is a human, John Smith. Especially in the second half of the episode. In the first half of the episode, it was still kind of like, okay, see, like, personally, I thought, you know, maybe by the end of the episode, he's going to start to realize maybe he's in a foreign body or a foreign mindset, and that he is the Doctor, that he is the Time Lord. But no, second half of the episode made him even more human. The first half had the most Doctor-like mannerisms on display, right? Especially because of the diary, right? Now, I'll get into the diary. I just thought that was such a delightful concept to use, like a dream journal, but also a trip down memory lane. Now, earlier I did say that this could end up playing a major role going forward, right? Even beyond Tennant's run, just Doctor Who in general. But I'm not sure. Again, it depends how episode or second part of this ends, and if he retains all of these experiences as a human, as John Smith, right? They've been there 2 months, right? And according to Martha, there was 1 more month left. So that's actually quite a bit. That's a long time, especially for Martha, right? Given the situation she finds herself in, right? You know, the Doctor, in this case, John Smith, is his situation's not bad at all, right? He's a respected teacher in a distinguished position at perhaps a distinguished school for boys. So it's not so bad for him. To him, it's normal. He's a human at that point in time, right? But for Martha, you know, it might not be as easy those past 2 months. And you even get to see some of the things she kind of had to deal with in that time, right? Some not so nice things. But yeah, you know, let's see if the Doctor actually retains this experience of being a human, right? All depends on how this second part plays out and how they kind of conclude this story. But yeah, you know, even I thought there was some great chemistry between him, John Smith, or, you know, Tennant, and the actress playing Nurse Joan. It was quite grounded and quite believable for that time period, right? It was effective, but it was different than The Girl in the Fireplace, right? Both quite effective and believable. But that being said, it's quite sad because the audience, knows it's not going to end on a happy note for John Smith and Joan. You know, depending on how it concludes, there has to be a goodbye at some point, right? And, you know, even Martha kind of felt bad about that. She knew, of course, there's a bit of jealousy in there, but she's also a nice person. She knows that, okay, this person's falling in love with the Doctor, aka John Smith, but she knows that it's not going to last, and, you know, sooner or later they are going to depart from this timeline. So, you know, perhaps she has some sympathy for Joan in that moment as well. Given Joan's backstory, you know, it's even more sad that she did lose a husband. Now she's gonna, you know, lose another person that she's clearly starting to fall in love with. And there's certainly some things that ground John Smith as a man, as a human, right? But specifically a man from that period, that time period, right? Certainly a good man, but you could see that he's clearly limited by some of the, cultural expectations and norms of 1913 England, right? So, you know, at times you'll see him do things that might not be considered so nice, but they're just the norm from that time period, right? Like, he said okay to Hutchison, you know, to allow him to beat him, right? To discipline him. And then there's a bit of a racist dismissal of Martha, right? As she's trying to explain things, and he just chalks it up as cultural differences. And he proceeds to explain that it's just a story and all, right? But again, he's not a bad person. He's a really nice person. Those are just the times. And then speaking of Martha, I thought that was yet another great performance by the actress playing Martha. As you know by now, you know, I adore Martha and the actress playing Martha. And this was another great one. It was a unique one, right? Because this is the first time that I've seen a companion is, the Doctor's in the dark, right? And it's essentially Martha's turn to be in control or be the caretaker, right? She's essentially taking care of the Doctor from a different type of position, right? In that sense, again, it was a bit unfair to put that on Martha, you know. Again, you know, those 2 months might not have been the easiest for Martha, specifically Martha. But still, let's see how it plays out in the second episode. But yeah, unique situation, right? And, you know, even though she is the caretaker in this situation, as intelligent as she might be, or as capable as she might be, in 1913, that's not going to do much for her, right? Specifically. And, you know, even though it sounds strange to say this, I like that they didn't tippy-toe or dodge the, you know, person of color element to this, right? Listen, man, that's how people used to be. That's the truth. That's reality. It used to be like that. People used to be shitty. And, you know, I feel like the writer or the director, I'm not sure who, perhaps a writer, but, you know, there's a bit of a commentary on people in charge, and, you know, these are the types of people that end up being in charge. right, or in really distinguished positions, in high positions. I'm speaking of the other maid making that remark about, you know, these are the types of men that are going to lead us or our country, right? So a bit of a commentary on that, clearly. And in terms of the different places and different situations Martha's been in, this might have been the most frustrating one for her, right? To be stuck here for 2 months, and then she said there's another month left, and you can see in the second half of the episode that she is starting to get frustrated, right? That she's starting to feel alone and doesn't quite know how to, you know, deal with this, right? Because yes, he left instructions, but then there are some things that he omitted, and that's simply down to the fact that he's a Time Lord, and his emotions and his disposition as a Time Lord, an alien, did not allow him to anticipate the prospect of human Doctor or human Time Lord John Smith potentially falling in love, and he had no instructions for that because he could not anticipate that as a Time Lord. Right, so there's some differences right there, and also there's, you know, that whole aspect of him falling in love with another human, right? And that's frustrating for Martha as well, given the fact that she is quite attached to the Doctor. She straight up said, you know, how come you had to go fall in love with a human other than me? So, you know, of course, it's that kind of frustrating element to it as well. And, you know, there's moments throughout the episode that she's got this look on her face, right? There's that one look as he's going through the, you know, the journal of dreams or impossible things. And at one point, Rose comes up, right? And you see that look on her face, like, okay, he really has an attachment to this person, this past companion, and that she could, again, you know, that realization probably sets in that she could never replace this past companion, or have the type of connection that he has or had with Rose. There's some great acting on display in that moment. You know, that look and her eyes really sold it. She didn't have to say a thing. I knew how she feels in that moment. And maybe even some disappointment or sadness that, you know, there's no mention of her at all in this dream journal. Though he did, you know, privately tell her that, yeah, you were in my dream last night. And I do think at some point she's just going to accept it, right? And not beat herself over it, that, you know, this just isn't going to happen. You know, this romantic relationship that she kind of yearns for. In that sense, you know, part of me even thinks that this doesn't really even suit the character of Martha to be this infatuated, you know, with the Doctor. And speaking of that journal of dreams or impossible things, again, I thought that was so great. That was such a wonderful addition to this. And, you know, you can see some of that Doctor side lingering as he's explaining these fantastical things, right? There's just so much joy in his face as he's describing these things, right? You know, so you've got Daleks in there, you've got Cybermen, you've got those monsters or robot creatures from The Girl in the Fireplace, can't remember the name. You've got the TARDIS, you've got Rose, of course, you know, she gets a full page illustration. And then, you know, there's one of two men, right? So my first thought is the Doctor and someone else, right? I feel like the musical cue at that moment, it felt like it was quite specific as he turned to that page. So I'm not sure if this is alluding to something that might happen in the future, or not in the future, something alluding to someone else, someone important that from his, you know, life as a Time Lord, you know, is this just like a male companion? You know, perhaps Captain Jack even. Yeah, two men. That one really, you know, that one had me a bit puzzled. Then, of course, you know, that last page, I'm pretty certain that must be some of the past Doctors, right? Because, you know, it's a bunch of different men. I do feel like that might be a bit of an Easter egg for Doctor Who fans. And, you know, paying some respects to the ones that came before, right? Saving a page just for them. And the face of Bo, of course, that was in the page. And then speaking of the face of Bo, you know, some of the things he said, or that one specific thing he said earlier in this series, "You are not alone." Again, you know, I get to hear that again, and it's through this character, Tim, whose name, the actor's name, I cannot remember, but I know he's Jojen Reed from Game of Thrones. So a few interesting, you know, notes came out of that as well. You know, him kind of opening up the watch and experiencing these memories of the Time Lord, right? The Doctor. So yeah, this whole concept of "you are not alone" is still lingering, right? And let's see if that means anything specific to this series, or maybe, you know, in the future. But I also remember hearing something about a false and empty man, right? And then someone said, "Oh, the last of the Time Lords, the last of an ancient race." So a lot of different things coming out of that, the watch, right? There's a few other things, but I'm gonna have to go back. I certainly should go back and really try to listen to some of those things in there. I feel like there could be some hints in there, right? Some juicy stuff to dig out of that. And then speaking of Tim, interesting character. He seems to have some kind of psychic abilities that are going on, right? He's got a bit of a sight that he sees things or guesses things right. Now that's how he established it earlier, but clearly he's getting these visions, right? And then, you know, as he bumps into Martha, he has this other memory kind of come to him. It's him bumping into Martha in Martha's current timeline, and she's got the same hair and the same outfit as the beginning of the episode. So I'm really interested to see how things develop on that front. This character of Tim, if he has any bigger, you know, a larger role to play maybe by the end of episode 2, or sorry, by the end of part 2 of this two-parter. And then, you know, speaking of Game of Thrones and other connections, Harry Lloyd showed up as well. You know, it's a bit of a goofy performance as that student, but then, you know, I love that he has range, right? As he becomes, or his body gets taken over by one of the family members, son of mine, I guess. I love that, you know, look he has on his face. You know, it's a goofy look, but he holds it, man. He commits to it. Like, I buy it. I buy that he's been taken or possessed by some alien species, right? It really was quite a nice surprise to see 2 actors from Game of Thrones turn up. And how about that opening? Great use of in medias res, right? It felt urgent, right? You dropped right in the middle of the plot. Exposition is bypassed and then, you know, gradually filled in through dialogue and flashbacks, right, and descriptions. You know, the scene felt urgent. It felt crucial. High stakes moment for the main characters of the show. Crucial to the plot, of course. So it was great use of it. And of course, you know, I'm on the edge of my seat at that point in time. I'm trying to figure out how I got to this, and that's the whole point of using that storytelling concept, right? And then gradually filling you in throughout the rest of the story, right? That's the hook. Right then, I think that's about it for this episode. Quite excited for part 2 of this two-parter. That was just so great. I really enjoyed that episode. Now then, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments. Give me your thoughts. Love to hear it. If you're interested in full length or perhaps even early access to the next episode right now, right after this, consider checking out the Patreon page. And in doing so, you'll be supporting the channel. You can also support the channel by subscribing. You know, there is a schedule in place now, so Doctor Who's going to have its own specific day. So consider subscribing to the channel. So that's about it for this one. Thanks for joining me. I'm quite excited to get to the next episode of this. So I hope to see you soon. Take it easy.